Have you ever wondered what goes bump in the night? What could be lurking round the corner? What shadows are waiting for us in the dark? Why we feel like we are being watched by the mysterious eyes of an unknown entity? When all rational explanations have been exhausted, it only leaves one explanation: the paranormal. Take a journey into the realm of the paranormal with your hosts, Damon Penny and Ben Winfield. We explore all things paranormal, from mediums to apparitions, from orbs to the occult, from demons to angels, and everything in between. So strap in and join us as we explore into the unknown. And don't forget, things can get a little strange. The Other Dimension Show on Pulse Talk Radio.
Welcome. It's that time again. It's your Saturday night paranormal fix. Before we go any further, gotta send massive shouts out to the Patreons. I'm so sorry we missed the bonus show this week. I've literally been hanging. I was so ill, so I apologise for that. But we're going to make it up to you guys. Don't forget, if you want to join Patreon, patreon.com/theotherdimension. All the bonus shows are up there. All these shows are up there. It's going to be wicked. And we're live on Pulse. And you know, I'm always joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ben Winfield.
Good evening.
Yes.
So,
and you are...
I'm on my travels again, as normal with a show.
Yep.
And
just you are at where?
I am at a festival in the UK called Valhalla.
Oh, sick.
And we're about to get more shout out in a minute. I'm just going to take us in.
Go for it.
Valhalla Viking Festival is about to go live on radio across the world. 210,000 people!
Oh, yeah.
Again, ready to shout OD.
Oh, absolutely quality.
Here we go. You ready? Ready? So, everyone that's listening to us around the world, this is what the UK is best known for the Viking Festival. Valhalla! Give it up!
Oh my... Yes! I'm feeling it. Massive. Massive shouts out to the boys over there. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I am going to put a link into the page so everyone can see the photos, and you can actually see me when I'm not busy deep in cultology and demonology books.
Oh mate, that is absolutely quality. I'm really that's quality. It's made my night.
That is a crowd of about 6,000 people.
Sick. And they're all dressed as Vikings.
So, all dressed as Vikings, mate, and everyone is absolutely trash. Well, anyway, on to tonight's subject.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Tonight we are talking...
One of my favourites.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've sort of gone into it a little bit, and it's like... It's starting to draw me in. And, yeah, it's definitely a cool subject. Tonight we're talking about the ancients, the Djinn.
The Djinn.
Oh, yes.
They are, well, where would you like to begin?
Well, there's two different types, isn't there? There's Djinn,
yeah,
and there's the Djinn.
Yeah.
And
now,
this
is where your misconception comes from. A lot of the time, people think they're both the same, and they're not. You have the Djinn, which are basically the ruling hierarchy. When you look into the history of it, the Djinn are very anti-human. They're not keen on. You look back in the legends and the Quran speaks of them. They don't like mortals. They don't like humans.
No.
I think, if I remember correctly, God turned on them for his love for humanity, which caused them to rebel massively, and they rebelled against him. He tried to kill them off. Then you have the Djinn, which are more said to be more humanitarian. They dislike humans, but they are said, according to legend, to live amongst us.
Yeah.
It's where your myth comes from, the shapeshifters, in many different religions.
I mean, when you look at Djinn, you have like the old wives' tales, born from a smokeless fire. Said to be, like you said, anti-humanisms. They don't like humans and that. And when you mentioned about them being mentioned in the Quran, they're only actually mentioned 3 times, or 3 different types. You have the Ifrit, and the Madrid, and you have the Ghoul that are mentioned in the Quran. What people have to understand is the Djinn. You have to look at the Djinn as a race more than a type.
Yeah, pretty much. People don't realise, like, there's more. You've got, and this is really going to confuse people. You've got the Djinn, the Djinn. You've got the vampirics. You've got the ghouls, ghouls. People, they know ghouls from movies and like games like Fallout, stuff like that, and Witcher.
Yeah.
Same as they know, like, you say vampire, people instantly think of bloody Dracula and stuff like that. Now, the difference is the vampirics, when it comes to legend, when it comes to like Jinkin, is they don't suck blood. They are said to suck the energy out of you. Same as a demonic attack.
Yeah.
It's said to oppress you, do pretty much all the same, but the difference is they will physically and full on blown attack you. And they have been known to kill.
Yeah.
Iran still technically is at war with them. They do technically still class as being at war with them. You can actually find the odd document. This is a bit more leaning into the conspiracy light of it. But you can find the odd document, odd report of fights breaking out between Djinn and like Iranian police, stuff like that. You can look into it a lot, but it's a very touchy subject. Yeah,
no, I mean, I come across that when I was doing my search into Djinn, and when you sort of look at it, there is that sort of cross conspiracy thing where the people look at them as lower class frequency demons. They're the ones that sort of are able to control humanity to make these decisions, like with the whole lockdown thing and the control of money flow and stuff like that. Because Djinn is said to believe that they're also good and bad.
Yeah.
And
it's the Djinn. The Djinn are more humanity driven than normal Djinn.
Yeah.
The Djinn are very aggressive towards humanity.
And then when you look at the Djinn as well, there are obviously the different types where you have the Ghoul, which are the shape-shifting, cannibalistic and blood-drinking creatures.
They basically fed on.
Yeah.
Sorry, Damien, you go forward.
It's right. Yeah, I mean, it's just saying here that they like to feed on travellers and corpses of stolen out graves, and then the oldest reference to them is in the Arabian lore, found in the Book of the 1001 Nights.
Yeah. They were said to play on the great fields of battlefields, like eating away at the dead and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different types. You have like the Hin as well, which they're sort of like weak Djinn.
Yep.
They're close to the animals. They're more like sort of animals, demonics, that sort of thing.
I usually class them as. Sorry, Dan, there's a bit of a lag with overlapping.
That's right, man.
I would usually class them the same as what we class as ferals. You know, the demonics that aren't actually demonics, the more animalistic in the ways.
Yeah, so almost like a weak mimic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're going to say, yeah.
Yeah. And the main thing I come across is, obviously, you have hierarchy within Djinn as well, and Shaitan is always at the top.
Yeah, he's said to be. It was so. If I remember correctly, he was supposed to have been God's first creation.
Yeah.
But then he sort of, when humanity was made, he wouldn't bow against them. Which, again, if you look more into like the cultology history of them all, that's how it all folded into like the Great War, where you had the fallen angel and stuff like that. People don't realise that this sort of war spread out across every single religion. Have this war that all gods turned against each other and all this sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
That's why I think that's why people seem to find it hard to separate things. You always want to keep everything separate. You can't. There's too much. Religions fall into other religions. Like you have Djinn mentioned alongside demons when you go into like the Hindu teachings. But they then also have their own regional ones. So it folds in and out a lot.
Yeah. I mean, when I was going through all this sort of stuff, I come across something that was quite cool. I don't know if you've heard of these. There's a type of Djinn called the Palace. They're the vampiric foot licker.
Yes. Yeah.
I think I remember you mentioning this on one another show.
Yeah. I'll mention about the foot lickers because I always find it funny.
Yeah,
I just have this sudden like idea of a vampire basically going around and licking your feet.
Yeah, it drains their blood from licking the bottoms of their feet.
Yeah. It was. If you look into it more, it's in line with like the. There's an American crypto, not American, Mexico crypto.
Yeah.
Chupacabra.
Yeah.
That's said to be. It's a loose connection, but they believe that might be the same sort of race. If that makes sense.
Yeah. It sort of does make a bit of sense, yeah. I mean...
Sorry,
little bit of lag there, mate, but we're all right.
Yeah. It's
also found out...
away from the music.
I don't know if you've come across... You probably have. But I've also found out that Djinn is sorted into colours as well. You have different colours of Djinn.
Yes. Yeah, you have the elemental born. You do have it for angelics, but a lot of people tend to forget it.
I mean,
you have it a lot with everything, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, you look at chakra points as well on the body. They're all coloured, aren't they? And anything to do with spiritualism is all coloured. You know, you talk about auras on a people. You talk about chakra points, chakra stones. They all seem to be donated by colour. Yeah,
people have a tendency of forgetting that you look at light itself, when you look in different colours, are set at different like frequencies in a sense. And every frequency, as we know, has different properties that affects the human body. You look at sound waves, they affect different sections of your body. Like a higher pitch can cause you pain, a low pitch can cause you like some use subliminal messaging at a lower pitch.
Yeah.
So
it's and if you're
colours in that.
If you're talking about sound frequencies, if you sit there and listen to, say, I don't know, something by Duran Duran for too long, it can change your tendencies towards the opposite sex. You know what I mean? It's all that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's all, you get onto subliminal messaging there, but this is where you look into that sort of thing, where you look into different spirits, different colours. That's why some people can't see them, some people can.
Yeah, definitely.
You can lead into that. And the Djinn were no exception for it. The higher up, the more the colour was. If I remember correctly, I think pure white is the highest. And then obviously dimming down more and more into colours. And the sort of the darker the colour, the less power.
Well, the way I've researched it is I've got it written down in front of me. So Blue Djinn are the older, intelligent Djinn. They're the ones that are often quite nice to humans, don't mind working alongside humans. That's the blue Djinn. Then you got the yellow, and they're sort of like almost like leaders of families or leaders of the clans, and they're sort of less powerful than blue Djinn, but more powerful than green Djinn. The green Djinn are the young and immature sort of Djinns, and they're like the playful, mischievous sort of ones that like to sit there and turn lights on and off and that sort of thing. Then you get into the black Djinn. They're the most powerful. These guys are said to be the kings, and they're not actually known whether there's one king or multiple kings of Djinn, but they all sort of denote themselves as black Djinn.
There is obviously my line of work and stuff that we spoke about before. There is a theory that black Djinn were old tribal shamans. To put it in obviously a long scale of like world occult wise, they were said to be these skinwalkers are said to be black Djinn.
Yeah.
And then you've got obviously more desert tribe, like the old desert tribes are supposed to be descendants of the black Djinn.
Yeah.
Which is why they tend to shun away from modern humanity and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I come across a story from, I can't remember, I think it was Ellen Guiley that read it up, and she was talking about these things called Ghul Silah, which are the type of Djinn that magicians used to use in sort of like this necromanic sort of ritual, where they would use the body of dead people to call the Djinn ahead to do these deeds for them.
Yeah, it's necromancy basically, of using an empty body to put in a Djinn soul into it.
Yeah,
it's necromancy is banned in like pretty much every single religion going. It's like the black. It is pretty much the black art again. Everything, even Egyptians had necromancy and banned. Once someone was dead, you were not allowed to interfere with anything. So around that era, having Djinn to do that sort of thing was considered normal. Yeah,
it's pretty much banned for everybody except for like Aleister Crowley and John Dee and Jack Parsons. So,
but John Dee didn't really scrape into necromancy.
No, I think that was a bit unfair for me to say.
Yeah, he sort of brushed the path, should we say? He got close, but he come up to that line and sort of just like, you know, when it's a freezing cold pool and you just want to dip your toe in to see if it's cold enough.
Yeah,
he kind of did that and then just sort of stepped away. Where Aleister Crowley sort of ran off the jumping board at the end, towards the end of his life. He basically went up the high jump, jumped off, and cannonballed straight into the deep end.
100%. Yeah, I think it's a bit unfair for me to say about John Dee because he was more sort of chaos magic and sort of sigil magic more than necromancy.
Yeah, you see, chaos magic has a really bad stigma to it as well, because it's chaos magic. It's more what's known as life magic. Life is chaos. It's not simple. It's not straightforward. So I think that's what people tend to get mixed up. Is they think necromancy is chaos magic. It's not. Chaos magic is, in a sense, life magic. Necromancy is just wrong altogether.
Yeah, 100%. Chaos magic is more a collective thought that is then processed by the universe, isn't it?
Yeah. Life is, you just have to look at life straight away. Like, ironically, being at a Viking festival, I use that as an example. Vikings always looked at their women of having the final great battle when they were giving birth to a child. And if you look at it, life is actually chaotic. You come into it kicking and screaming.
You're leaving the same way.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. You leave him peed off with the world because you've not had much time.
Exactly, you're just not ready to go yet. Like it's like you said, it's one massive universal circle. You're born into this world, not ready to be born yet, and then when you leave this world, you're not ready to leave yet. So it's like you said, it's one big circle, and that's how chaos magic sort of plays on the collective thought and the collective consciousness and the minds of people that are doing it.
Yeah.
So, but back onto Djinn. Now, this is another thing that completely captured me, and I was just like proper into this. Have you heard of something called a Hamzad?
It sounds familiar, but you know what my brain's like. It takes me a while to engage. I have to hear something, and then the engine starts going, the hamster starts running the wheel.
Well, the Quran, or a Hamzad, is a personal Djinn, and the Quran states, also Urdu and Indians religions also state that each person has a Hamzad or a Quran.
Yeah, it's supposed to be your judgment, isn't it? Your angel of judgment, judging your life for eternity to be called upon when you die.
Yeah, and it also it said that the Prophet Muhammad turned his Quran into a Muslim, thus resulting in not even a negative thought of anything. But we as humans don't have the power to do this. But we can capture the Hamzad.
Hamzad. That's
And what they're saying as well is if you can capture your Hamzad, then they can give you information on any person as well, can cure illnesses, find lost and stolen things. It's basically like your own personal demonic, but you just have to overcome that, and they then become like this little helper in life. It's quite cool.
Yeah, pretty much. The only thing they can't find are missing socks.
Oh yeah, definitely. No one can find that.
Still the greatest. That's still the greatest mystery in cultology.
Yeah, only the fairies know where they are. Oh god. And also I found out as well that flying Djinn, they're actually called Pari, which means fairy.
Yep.
So it's just when you actually get into it.
This is me going into legend. I'm going to sound really old now. Like legend.
Go for it.
So we got a bit of lag, haven't we? Because I'm out in the countryside.
Yeah.
Legend has it that the flying Djinn are the ones that cause the great sands to rise up and wipe out Egypt. Hence the reason most of Egypt is in the Sahara Desert, because people don't realise the Sahara Desert's only existed for about 8,000 years. Now, Egypt's existed a lot longer than most of the most of the Upper Kingdom and what's known as the Mid Kingdom, but obviously you had higher and lower kingdoms, was lost under the sands.
Yeah.
And people don't realise, like, when they went to look at the pyramids, when they first discovered them, there was only about, I think, like 12 foot tall. People don't realise it. They had to keep on, like, digging down to find more and more stuff.
Oh, that's crazy. The thing is, right, as much as that's nuts, when you actually think of it and you put it into context of history that we know, obviously, like 80% of history that we've been taught is completely fabricated. But if you look at it from what you were saying, it makes sense.
Yeah. This is why I like.
Good, mate.
It's all right. I was going to say, this is why, like, when we spoke backstage about one of my friends who is out with the nomads and that, they still use old cities out in the desert for places to relax inside. Obviously, if there's sandstorm or at night and stuff like that, they still report seeing Djinn in these old cities.
Yeah.
They know where to avoid them, where not to avoid them at. The Valley of the Kings is said to be regularly attacked by Djinn. Obviously, because they're disturbing more and more tombs.
Yeah, well,
and
this is what people don't understand. This is what I'm saying. It's what people don't understand. If you're
Yeah.
disturbing these things that don't need to be disturbed, you're gonna, especially with that sort of Egyptian side of things, they were very spiritual people, and if you're gonna disturb that, you're gonna upset something in the underworld, 100%.
Yeah, they're gonna come knocking for you.
Yeah. Well, when I spoke to you about Djinn, you said about, have you done the tribes yet? And I was like, oh, for God's sake, here we go again. I'm going to have to go deeper. So I had a look into this, and I had to write it down word for word because I thought it was quite cool. It's a tribe called the Merid.
Yeah, now, I'm surprised you found it. I'm impressed.
The Merid, I'm going to read it word for word what I found because I thought it was quite cool. The Merid are the strongest tribe of the Djinn, said to have the large, strong bodies and a powerful presence. Merid is Arabic for rebellious. Like its name, the Merid is rebellious and hard to control. The Merid have a vast knowledge of magic and have assisted many kings and priests throughout history. They are blue in colour and are well known for this. The genie from Aladdin was a Merid. That's quality.
Yeah. They were, according to like the Tablet of the Fallen, which I'm still trying to find, which has been my bane of my existence, to put it that way. They were said to have been there at the fall of the Fallen, which was obviously when the Anunnaki left and the demonics took their reign, obviously with ball and play people like that, and you had the god rebellions and stuff like that. So they were said to have been there at the Sumerian cataclysm, should we say. So they're well documented inside like the Middle Eastern bubble, should we say. They're well documented.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when you get into this stuff, it's like a bottomless pit.
Yeah.
But it's like...
Well, like I've said before, the separation between people don't realise. You've got different races of different things, and they all have their own history. They all have their own location, stuff like this. People don't realise it's not simple, quick, cut and dry.
Yeah. It's just crazy. I mean, have you heard of the Iblis, another tribe of the Djinn?
Iblis Dalesi.
Yeah, also known as the devil. They basically are like what we class as demonics in religious terms. It's their sort of equivalent. They're the strong, powerful one. Their primary goal was to commit humans to commit many sins as possible through trickery, whispering into people's hearts. They were the ones in the Quran who convinced themselves they were superior to Adam because they said to Adam that he was a jinn made of fire, whereas Adam was only made out of clay. And he vowed that he would lead all humans into hell to prove their inferiority and that he wasn't inferior to humans. Yeah.
That's basically where you get the crossover of like demonics. Like I say, people always think that jinn and demonics are the same. They're not. You have there, as you just said, a perfect example of the separation between them.
Yeah, definitely. And like with the jinn, when you actually get into it, you realise that it's a complete system for... I mean, they have a type of jinn or a colour of jinn or a tribe of jinn for each sort of different almost like type of race. You know how we have, people from the UK are English, or they're from they're Britons. People from Spain are Spanish. People from America are Americans. They have the same thing for jinn.
Yeah, people don't realise this. Like when you go, obviously, just breaking off into the more scientific side of things, people forget that humanity were what? We're the Neanderthals. Thank you, Luke.
Yeah.
People don't realise that there used to be different races of human on this planet.
Yes.
The only reason we exist is because we wiped out the other races.
Yes.
So to think the the spiritual world is any different, I think is a bit narrow-minded to think that there's just this, there's just angelics, there's just demonics, there's just Djinn, there's just elementals. You can't categorize that small.
No, 100%, 100%. And I think it takes a narrow mind to know how many different types of humans there are in the human race, whether it's gender, race, sexuality, nationality, whatever, to sit there and think that there's that many. And it's more to do with the agnostic side of people's brains. I mean, we can prove there are this many races of people in the world, this many races of human. To sit there and be narrow-minded and go, there are one type of demon, there are one type of angel. There's, you know what I mean? It's almost a hypocritical way of looking at things. Yeah.
People don't realise that.
No, exactly. So
I've had Djinn reports. People don't look at it. With Djinn might be in the Middle East. I've had reports before of a Djinn in Derby.
Yes.
Same as a friend of mine's had a report of a high-ranking demonic all the way in China.
Yeah.
They don't realise this.
Yeah. And that's what we're saying about narrow-minded people. It's like someone, you know, if you turn around to someone now and went, oh my God, I've just seen a Frenchman in Derby, you'd be like, right, okay, that's normal. You know, it's the same for demonics and angelics. You know, you've got to understand that they are a race and they can travel, you know, probably better than we could.
Yeah.
So
I think I've got one question I've had to bring up because I keep getting asked on a regular occasion, and I did say I was going to bring it up on the page on the radio station. A couple of listeners got in contact with that. And it's best time to use it with the Djinn. Is people always ask me what language demons speak, and it's the same as the language the Djinn speak. It's the same as language all spiritual things speak.
Mm-hmm.
It's the language that comes out of your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't all speak Latin.
No.
The only people that speak Latin now are doctors.
Yep.
Even demonics don't want to speak Latin. That stuff is hard to learn.
Extremely.
Yes, and botanists, botanists and doctors. But
100%.
They will speak your language because what's the point in trying to possess you in a sense if you can't understand a word they're saying?
No, exactly. And you got to look at it in this sense as well. If your main goal as a spirit or as a demon or a demonic race is to make contact with the person that you're trying to make contact with, you're going to speak the language they understand.
Yeah. The reason Djinn are always said to speak ancient Arabic and ancient Hebrew is because that's the region they live in.
Yeah.
The people they see there speak Arabic. They speak Hinduism. They speak Hebrew.
Yes. And it's that age-old story of region, you know. Just because I'm from Essex and you're from up north somewhere, we still talk the same language but a different dialect. And it's that thing that people have to understand, you know. Like you said, the Djinn are regional to Middle East, so they're going to speak the Middle Eastern languages, you know, but it doesn't mean that they can't speak English, they can't speak Spanish or German. At the end of the day, you're talking about a higher intelligent race. It's not hard for them to learn that language, you know what I mean?
The first thing you ever learn, well, I ever teach people when it comes to cultology and stuff like that, when they want to deal with like demonology and stuff, and I'm giving a little sneak here at what we have on the Patreon page. It's going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
Is when it comes to languages, the first thing I will always do is teach the old languages. So, Enotic, Theban, other different languages that get used, more of a universal language that everyone can understand now.
Yeah.
it's these basic languages that you use. If you're on a case and you're talking to a spirit, say you've got a high-ranking demonic, say you've got Asmonday.
Yeah.
You're gonna use a language that he can relate to first.
Mm-hmm.
If you want a meaningful conversation to come through. As I've always said, the thing with Ouija boards is they're all in English.
Yep.
And A to Z doesn't exist in, like, say, Arabic. A to Z doesn't exist. Certain letters are missed out.
Yes. Same
as in China, you've got more different letters and more characters to the way stuff is.
Mm. Yeah.
You want to build a good Ouija board, put a circle of different languages around. I will show people how to do that on the Patreon page.
Yep.
That's another sneak. I'm letting a bit more sneaky stuff out on us today.
Yeah, well, we are planning on taking the Patreon to a video so that we can sort of get hands-on with the people on Patreon. So, but...
It's like Lou says, unfortunately, I'm at this show. I've had quite a few drinks. The one thing that you'll find at a Viking festival is you'll never have an empty beer glass.
100%.
Especially when the alcohol is all free.
Definitely. Well, we've got to do a quick ad break.
Of course.
Because that's how we do it. And then we'll come back on the other side. And then we'll get into a little bit more about the Djinn. And then some bits we've got coming up and planned. So we will see you listeners on the other side.
Pulse Talk Radio, the place to come for talk shows about the paranormal. Sponsored by the Psychic Clinic. Empowering self-healing. ThePsychicClinic.com.
Do you enjoy the Other Dimension show? Do you want more from the boys? Do you need that one more show? Well, have we got a treat for you? Head over to www.patreon.com and become an official patron of the show. For just £3 a month you get a weekly bonus episode. This bonus episode can only be heard on Patreon by the true ODDs, so don't miss out. www.patreon.com/The Other Dimension and sign up today.
And welcome back, we're on the other side. So let's get back into this chat about Djinn. Now, we was going into how the region thing, you know, how Djinn are and sort of this thing. I just want to get down to the fact of people to understand. We've gone through all the different colours of Djinn, all the different tribes of Djinn that I've sort of found out and you know about. Now let's relate it over to the other sort of thing, you know, the other dimension, to drop a little hint in there. You know, we always talk on our shows about, you know, apocalyptics, we always talk about Anunnaki, we also talk about Archons, we talk about Nephilim, we talk about Seraphim. It's the same with the Djinn. Even though we've gone there and there's Urfit, there's Hamzad, there's Karim, there's Palace. It's the same, sort of almost mirrored onto the other side. It's just a different region, isn't it? You know, when you look at it that sort of way.
Yeah, pretty much.
It is a mirror image. You know, how many times have we sat there and spoke about elders? We spoke about apocalyptics. You know, they can even be classed as, you know, Iblis or Harim, these sort of things with the Djinn. Do you think there's a crossover there, or do you think we are mistaking these higher Djinn as higher demonics?
No, I will always put, and I've always put, not definitive lines between them, but you can find the separation if you study properly and look and read into it properly. You can find the separation when you've got, take the Quran for example. You look, the Quran holds the Old Testament in it.
Yeah.
So the Old Testament speaks of demonics and stuff like that. And then you have, obviously, when it comes on to Islamic faith and the more, when you get onto that, the more Muslim beliefs, you find that they also speak of jinn.
Yeah.
So where they would have separated, which you can find through historically, where they separated from like Jewish tribes when Muhammad came about, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That he ran into these jinn, as it states in the Quran. You've got a different regional shift then.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You go to like places like Israel now and Palestine, they both talk about jinn and demonics in the same content.
Yeah.
But they will, you can go up to them and say, are they separate entities? And they'll turn around and go, yes, straight away.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. Totally. I believe they are separate entities. And I think the problem is the old Abrahamic religions, you know, you're talking about the Christianity, the Catholicism, Muslims, Jews, Hindus. I think where in the olden days they all want to be separate and be recognised as a separate entity, this is where the separation has come, and we've sort of separated the jinn away from the demonics, away from the Kabbalistics, you know, and they all need to be put under the same umbrella, under the same blanket. Yeah.
This is where you go when you like flick back to what we was on about earlier with the chaos magic. Humans have to have, and I love the fact that we do this, but we have to have everything organised.
Yeah.
We can't understand the chaos of life. And the best example I've always used when it comes to teaching is if you go into a woods near where you live, look for where we've gone in and replanted trees. You'll find they're perfectly lined up.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you look in where like the natural tree growth goes, it's chaos. It's hectic. Trees are all over the place, but that's how life grows more. You'll notice it grows more there than it does in the ones where we've organised it, put in lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same with spiritual stuff. We try to go, oh yes, like bringing it right back down to a simple basis. We go into a house. Oh, it has to either be a ghost. If it's not a ghost, it's a poltergeist. If it's not a poltergeist, it's a demon. Yeah. If it's a demon, then it's evil. If it's a poltergeist, then it's a negative spirit. If it's a normal ghost, then it's just either a nice one or a bad one. Why can't they be in between? You don't get a person. You don't meet a person and go, yep, you're evil. Yep, you're good. We have emotions. Same as everything else has emotions.
100%. 100%. And I agree with that.
Demons aren't bad. Angels aren't always good.
Yeah. And I've learned that along the journey we've taken. And when you talk about humans obviously having things in some sort of order, we talk about the old sort of like, it's even being used nowadays, the alchemical thing about revealing the method. You know, these alchemists, they love to reveal their method, but they do it in funny ways, i.e., you know, I'm going to drop it. I'll probably get a spam for it, especially if this goes out on Facebook, but let's just go for it. When you talk about Event 201, where they run that whole coronavirus preparation test with sending out the masks and the vaccines and that, they run this like 3 months before coronavirus hit. It's revealing the method. It's an age-old alchemical, it's an age-old occultist way of doing things. It's that OCD taking over in our human brains again, where they reveal the method because things have to be organised, things have to be tested before.
Yeah. Where when you look into true alchemy, everything is hidden still.
Yeah.
Because they understood, an alchemist understood the chaos that goes into making things.
Yeah. And when you look at ancient alchemy, it's up there with chaos. You know?
Yeah.
People like John Dee, he was known as a chaos magician. He was known to cause chaos to get his alchemical changes and his alchemical magic out there, you know.
Yeah.
you look at Liberia 777, the whole thing about Thelema and the Dragon and the Golden Dawn, they would promote chaos to heighten energy to create alchemical magic. It's always been there. And when you talk about the OCD of people, occultists are mad for OCD. They love a bit of OCD, revealing methods, sticking to like these stringent sort of ways in which they do these rituals. They have to be done in a certain order because it's all to do with, like you said, humans' ways of OCD having things in certain order. But what they have to understand is if they let go of that OCD and let things happen naturally, let it happen in a chaotic way, it actually creates more power.
Yeah, this is what the Djinn have been known for centuries, is they can easily manipulate humans because we're very easily predictable due to the fact that we try to organise things. We don't like the chaos of everything. If you have someone that understands, it's not creating chaos, it's understanding the chaos balance.
Yeah.
That's what Djinn are renowned for doing. They don't, I'm trying to find the best way of putting it. They don't stick to the whole 4-tier of possession, obsession, oppression, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That you get with demonic cases. They will make your life hectic and chaotic because we can't get a grips of life being chaos and hectic.
Yeah.
So that's how they learn to control us more and more that way. When you're dealing with a possession when it comes to Djinn, you have to do it separately.
Yeah.
And deal with it in a different way. That's another thing as well that I've been asked. A couple of friends of mine got in touch with me asking, apparently a shaman, I won't bring up any names, said that she can get rid of any spirit, any attachment, deal with any curses, any hexes, anything. She can get rid of it in one easy way.
Right.
That's not how it works.
No.
That's like going to a doctor and having, I don't know, a cold and the person next to you needing brain surgery and you handed both the same tablet.
Yeah. Or walking into a JD Sports and every single shoe is only available in one size.
Yeah. Life doesn't work that way. And that's what the Djinn, and when you go out to, like, if you ever go out to the Middle East and stuff like that, like places like Egypt and stuff, you learn to notice that everything out there has its own hectic way.
Yeah.
Like you walk in tombs and stuff, they're decorated, beautifully decorated, telling the story. But if you look at it, it's somewhat all hectic.
Yes.
And they do that for the confusion.
And it sort of goes back to the age-old story of a way I like to live my life. I always see things as, if it's too good to be true, then it's too good to be true. Because if something's going to simplify your life, it's not a good thing. You know, you have to have that chaos. I mean, me and my partner, we are the epiphany of having a chaotic life. It's constant, always, all the time. But you know what? It works, and it's supposed to be like that, and that's how human life's supposed to be. And like you said about the whole story with the shaman, if she's talking about one size fits all, she can fix anything with one way. That sounds to me, it's too good to be true. So it probably is too good to be true. And if every one of our listeners was to take that stance with the paranormal, is this too good to be true? If it is, stay away from it. You'll find that your investigations, your evidence that you get, whether you're researching demonology, occultology, numerology, it will take a turn for the better if you take that stance. I always say, law of abundance, love thy neighbour, too good to be true, leave it alone. That's the way I live things.
There is only one thing in this world that can fix everything, and that is duct tape. And you can't use duct tape in the paranormal field.
It's one of them things. I mean, I've seen people make wallets from duct tape.
Mate, duct tape fixes everything.
Yep, it does. And have you seen that new one? They brought out a new duct tape that can sellotape a bow back together. I'm going to send you the video.
My very old first motorbike was held together with duct tape in certain places. In fact, I think it held the exhaust pipe together.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy what us humans find things like to do with it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But if we do a takeaway, sort of a quick digest of tonight's show, there are many, many tribes of the Djinn. There's very, very many colours of the Djinn, and there's very many different types of the Djinn. And if you're going to get into the whole Djinn thing, prepare to be digging for a long time, because it's one rabbit hole you ain't going to be coming out of for a few months.
Yeah, I would say if you want to look into the Djinn, I would start with a glass of gin, because you're going to need it by the end.
100%. And it's full of these whole sort of like Hebrewic and sort of like these Arabic sort of words, and you got to have like a certain way of saying them, and it is crazy stuff when you get into it, but it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a very long road, that Djinn one. It's very handy if you know people that are out there dealing with them the same way you deal with like demonology cases.
Yeah,
it makes it a lot easier to understand.
Definitely, it's like that first-hand experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I've really enjoyed it, but we've got a few things to get through. We're gonna be doing a bonus show this week. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we're gonna get either Andy McGrillen on and do the UFO one. Obviously we had to cancel this week's one because I was majorly ill.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get Andy McGrillen on this week, and then the week after I'm going to get one of your friends on. I know you know this guy. I'm hoping to get Charleston Gibbs on.
Oh yeah, Gibbo. Yeah. To think then. Yeah.
Yeah. I've spoke to him. I'm hoping to get him on the bonus. So we've got a couple of great ones lined up there.
Yeah.
Next Saturday's show is going to be talking about misconceptions and conspiracy theories within the paranormal. It's one of them shows that we've done before on my old shows, and it hit off. People loved it.
We went proper. We forgot the time on that one, didn't we? We just
we was deep. We went deep on that. We've done Tom Daly head dive into that. I'm telling you.
We'll be having Carl like ringing us up, going, "Will you guys finish?" It's like you've got into 5 different time zones here.
Yeah. People's computers are actually crashing because you've been talking for like 4 days. So yeah, if you guys want to get involved in the bonus shows, all you have to do is head over to patreon.com/the other dimension, sign up there.
It's cheaper than buying a Costa.
Oh, 100%. 100%. You're basically paying 75 pence a week or 75 pence a show, and it's an hour long. You get one every week. We are going to start doing 2, maybe, and we're also going to be moving over to video. You can download the Patreon app if you're on Apple or if you're on Android, and you get a straight notification when we upload it. It normally goes up as soon as we do it, and we're looking to move it over to video as well, so you'll be able to see us what we're doing. Ben's got like some of the most amazing like sigils and books, and if we've got him on camera, you can hold them up for you guys to see, take pictures. We can do screen shares. That's the aim, to take that Patreon to the next level.
Yep, and it's a lot cheaper than other ones.
Oh yeah. And also, if you want to get hold of any of these shows, they're available on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you can get your podcast from, on your phone or on your computer, we are there. And also, if you want to hit us up, we've got a Discord that's available 24/7 straight to us. You've also got the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/TOD paranormal. So we're out there. You look like an alien right now.
Oh, can you still see me?
Yeah, just
I keep forgetting you can see me. It's like it's slowly got darker here, and like the only thing that's showing is like just 2 white points on like a black face.
How did the show go anyway? Was it good?
It's still going on now. If anyone is interested, Valhalla is still going on. We're going to be partying into the night and drinking a lot more. I will stick some of the photos up on the Patreon page. I will also put a link so that people can see, because I believe this is going to go on next year, and it is one hell of a show.
Yeah.
As you just heard the crowd, they generally take care of the people here.
Yeah.
We've just had, everyone here has just had free food and free booze. So you can't argue with that at a festival.
No, 100%. 100%.
And you also, if you turn up, you also get to see me get beaten up quite bad and deal some damage out quite bad myself when it comes to fighting.
So if you want to see Ben dressed up like sort of half Assassin's Creed, half Jesus, head over to the Valhalla Festival.
It is definitely worth it. Although this time I had to disgrace myself because I was on the Christian side of the Vikings versus Christians.
Oh my God! What?
And
do you not get to pick your side?
No, unfortunately, we got drafted into the side because of low numbers, and our Lou managed to win what's known as a circle of treachery as well, which is basically where everyone attacks everyone.
Oh, really?
She's still building from that. Yeah.
You must be teaching her well, mate.
Yeah. Wow. I teach everyone well. I just sometimes forget to teach them the rest of it.
Well,
but yeah. Check it out on Patreon or photos and that lot.
Yeah, we're going to be uploading photos. Lou's got the login. Just tell her to give me a heads up before you log in because I've got to do the verification. But yeah, we'll get you on there. We'll get all the photos uploaded. So don't forget to head over to the Patreon. And don't forget to head over to Pulse Talk Radio. You can catch our shows on there as well. But unfortunately, we're out of time this week. So if you want to hear more of us, you know where to find us. But for now, we're out of here. It's bye from me and bye from Ben.
Goodbye.
And take it easy. We'll see you. And just remember, when there is no other explanation, there is always the other dimension.
Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of the paranormal. Don't forget, if you missed the show, it will be available on our podcast. Just search The Other Dimension wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If you have any questions about the show, or you wish to contact the show with your own experiences, just head over to the Facebook group at www.facebook.com/TOD Paranormal.